Well, good morning, my friends. I think that we are going live for Live Inspired in studio with John O'Leary, Webcast number 21. This episode is focused on you, as they all are, but this one is really focused on you, ensuring that you in 2019, my friends, are living in to your best year yet. I know that we have some new friends joining us for the first time. Dozens and dozens, actually, of new friends signed up over the holidays and leading in through the weekend. So we're going to have a little bit of a review. I'm going to go half screen just to say hello and let you know that this is indeed me, that I'm here with you live, that I'm excited and honored on a little bit of a dreary, rainy, chilly January morning here in St. Louis to warm it up, to light it up, and to be present with you today, focused on your year, focused on the possibility that is alive and well within it. So, friends, for those of you who have been around for 21, I welcome you back. And for those of you here for the very first time, you're welcome. You are now part of family. We always do a little bit of a housekeeping on the front side to ensure that we are all walking in step together. So for the new members, you are not part of the family, but you got to know a little bit of the family etiquette. Okay, so when you see this little icon pop up on the screen, this is your indication that it is your time to chat with us, that we want to hear from you. And it means that on the side of your screen right now, there's a little chat feature. You can type into that, you can hit send, and it's a very cool way that we have a conversation together. So this is not just John speaking for an hour to fire you up. This is a very conversational piece, generally speaking, but today in particular, this is going to be incredibly conversational. In fact, I'll be speaking for probably, all said, less than half of our time together. So you're going to be doing a lot of work today. Why wait, though? You see a question on the screen right now. I encourage you immediately, my friends, to go to that chat feature and to answer for the rest of us and for you. State it, take it public. What are a few things that you are proud to have accomplished over the past 12 months? So while you are typing those in and chatting those in, I'm going to go through the rest of the housekeeping really quickly so that we can talk about your best year yet. But I want to hear from you. So please do chat right now. There's the icon again. That's one piece. The second piece is this. Many of you have been around for a while and you know this already. But you have these journals, and if you just enrolled into Studio, you may not have yours yet. It's coming. But grab a napkin, grab a piece of paper, write on the back of your hand. I don't really care where it goes for now, but I want it to go in a place ultimately that you can look back on and use again. We want these conversations to become memorialized somewhere, and what better way than in your journal? So grab a journal if you have one handy. If not, start a new one. We'll have lots and lots and lots of opportunities for you today to journal. You'll need one, okay? Thirdly, we have a little in-studio feature that is free. It's part of your subscription, and I encourage you, if you haven't yet, to send us your email now. Here's the way it works. Text me the word studio, and you send that to the number 314-825-2478. And then every Sunday, I come back into your life early on a Sunday morning. I normally have a cup of coffee with me to chat briefly about what we talked about the Monday of Studio and what it means for us on this Sunday, on the following Sunday, and going forward. It's a really cool way to keep the message hot and in front of you. It's as part of your service, so do it right now if you haven't yet. 314-825-2478. Text studio to that number, and I will be arriving into your smartphone this coming Sunday. And not only will it be me, it will also be my friend Jenny Ditzler. More on her in a moment, but you're going to really want to do it for this exercise. So here we go. When I was a little guy, and maybe for you too, if you grew up here in the United States, I know we have friends from all over the U.S., but also from all over the world. In the U.S., when I was in grade school, decades and decades ago, we used to stand up every morning, put our hand on our heart, and pledge the allegiance. Well, we have something for in studio that we feel strongly about. It's called our manifesto. These are the tenets that we believe. And since we have so many new members with us on this Monday, I wanted to begin our program today by standing up, if you will. By the way, I always work standing up, so I'm standing up right now. I'm already on my feet. If you're still seated down, baby, you may want to push that chair back, step away from the desk, put your hand on your heart, and let's go. These are the tenets that we believe. Not only do I, but I think we collectively believe this. So here we go. Manifesto. We believe that a single spark can ignite a mighty movement. We've seen it time and again. We believe this to be true. We also believe in the profound value of each one of our lives and in the limitless potential within them. We believe each one of us has a unique calling to discern, a mission to embrace, a purpose to live. We believe every one of us has a story, every one of us. We believe that generally it's not the story we are telling the world, but that our personal stories are indeed always worthy. Your story's worthy, mine's worthy. For more on that, go back to some of the previous webcasts, including Webcast 1 and 2. I'm telling you right now, you'll get a lot of value from that and the value of your worthy story. We also believe that the mundane is not, that good enough is not, and that getting by is not enough. We believe that just because something has not been done does not mean that it cannot be done, that we get to live by choice, not by chance, that nothing is more wasteful than enduring, existing, or wasting our lives away in apathy or denial or shame or regret. We are 3/4 of the way through the pledge, so hang on for it. We believe that the end of our formal education does not mean we are done growing in the classroom of life. We believe that mistakes are not final. Thank the Lord for that one. We believe that incremental change is transformative and that the human potential is indeed intended to be unleashed. Love that word, unleashed. We believe so strongly in our opinions and values that we are actually open to learning from others with different opinions and different values. I think we need to probably have an entire webcast on this going forward. But we believe in this one, no doubt about it. We believe in fighting for things we know matter and surrendering to things that we know we just can't control. We believe in the power of love, the gift of grace, the promise of tomorrow, and the miracle of the moment. And my friends, you know this to be true, and so do I. We believe in the truth that the best is yet to come. Today, our focus on what we believe as we get ready to take our chairs and get ready for class. We believe in the profound value of each one of our lives, the limitless potential within them, and the truth that the best is yet to come. And that's why we talk about having in 2019, on January 7th, our best year yet. So for those of you still tuning in right now, I know some of us come in just a couple minutes late. That's okay. Right now, you are right on time. That little chat feature means I want to hear from you. That little blue icon to the left of your screen. Answer the question, what are a few things that you are proud to have accomplished over the past 12 months? Some of them are massive. You changed the world somehow. Others might be seemingly less significant, but it mattered to you. You did this thing. I want to hear about it, okay? I'll be sharing a few of those here in a moment, but before I do, I want to share a story of a guy that's going to kind of be the inflection point story for the day that we will be utilizing. His name is Scott Harrison. Scott's a friend of ours. He was on a podcast just a couple months ago. He is leader of Charity Water, but it's his backstory that I wanted you to hear today. He was incredibly successful in all these areas of life that I don't know, some of us may find very valuable, others may find meaningless. He was financially incredibly successful. He owns various clubs throughout Manhattan. He's at the top of his game. He's hanging with the big players in New York. He's drinking an expensive drink. If you look closely at the picture, he's got the expensive watch on. Scott told me that he remembers when that picture was taken, and right before the flash went off, he pushed his left hand out in front to ensure that the camera would show how successful he is, specifically through that watch. So that this is the life that he is living. There's the Dom Perignon in front of him. Life is good. He's got the right drink. He's got the right stuff. He's got the right clothes. He's got everything. And then he goes on a vacation. He heads down to South America, takes a few of his friends, takes a lot of the ladies that used to be at the club with him. They all go down. They party for almost a week down in South America. This is the mansion where they partied. Scott wakes up on New Year's Eve, so the day before New Year's Day. He wakes up on the final day of the year. He's hungover. He's exhausted. He's successful. And he's hollow. He can't explain it. He doesn't really know what's going on, but he's completely discontent with his life. He's starting to recognize none of this stuff matters. So he returns home and back to the club scene, but he's still hollow. One night after leaving the club scene late, he Googles a word that best describes the way he felt. And the word he typed into the search engine was numb. Man, I'm just numb. I've been living and leading and growing and expanding and doing all this stuff and being on top of my game, and I'm utterly numb. So he Googles this, and it comes back with a little description. And by the way, that journal on the bottom right of your screen means you may want to write down the definition. Okay, because I know from time to time I have felt this way, and I would imagine many of us in the room have also felt this way. He is unable to feel anything as the result of being cold or full of anesthesia. A few words that also describe numb that he looked up. He felt completely incapable of feeling anything, unfeeling, insensible, frozen, and for him, the one that most summed up his life, he felt dead. He felt dead. So with this definition, with these words in front of him, he decided to take pause from the journey that he had been on for a while. Today, we're going to take pause just for an hour. But from time to time in life, it's important to pull back for even longer. He takes pause, and he recognizes that this ladder he's been climbing is not leading him up the ultimate success to which he strives. So he applies for 6 different not-for-profits. He'll do anything. He just wants a different opportunity. So he applies for 6 not-for-profits. He'll do anything for him. He'll work for free. And he gets 6 rejections back. And he's like, how far have I fallen that I can't even work for free for these not-for-profits that need people to work with them? Well, eventually, one of them comes back with an opportunity. And before I share with you that opportunity, a quote from my friend Francis Chan. It's a cool one. It is worth writing down because this is what Scott was discovering in his own life. Our greatest fear should not be of failure. My friends on the front side of 2019, write it down. Our greatest fear in 2019 should not be of failure. Our greatest fear ought to be at succeeding at things in life that ultimately just don't really matter. This was how Scott was feeling. And I think from time to time, it is how we feel today. We're going to get clear on the stuff that matters, by the way. So get ready for that one. This is who he hears back from. This is his opportunity. This is the not-for-profit that invites Scott to join him. It's called Mercy Ships. What they discovered in Africa is that it's so difficult to set up hospitals inland. So they move around in this large boat from village to village, town to town, as best they can bring it into the intercoastals. The folks from all over these villages, from all these inland communities, they come to the ship and they get served by these doctors who travel around. And they invited Scott to be their photographer. So that's his job, leaving the club scene. He's working for peanuts, but he's having the time of his life, taking these pictures, meeting these kids, hanging out in these villages, loving what he's doing. But he also recognizes the line's not shortening. The line of men and women and boys and girls desperately needing medical help. Everywhere they go, the line is lengthening. They don't have anywhere near enough resources to handle these lines. And he also wonders, why is this? Why are there so many sick children? Why so many abnormalities? Why so much disease? And what he recognized, the water that they were drinking was infested with all kinds of bacteria and viruses, and totally poor for the kids, but also for the adults. So the issue was the water. So he comes back home. He knows the bar scene. He knows the club scenes. He knows how to throw a party. So he throws a birthday party for himself. Throws the party, has a bash. But what he tells his friends at the end of the night is, all the money we raise from tonight is going to go back to these African villages so we can drill one well. We're just going to drill one well and see what happens. So he takes all the money that he has collected, he drills one well, he reports back to his friends who came to his birthday party on what he discovered, on the impact that they had. He shows them pictures and shows them videos and then says, do you want to do it again? Do you guys think we can do this a second time, a second well? Do you think we can do it again? What about a third time? A third well? Keeps going on and on and on. One guy raises not $250, $2 or $252,000. Scott Harrison has now raised in a little bit more than 10 years, $252, unbelievable, million dollars. 100% of those dollars going to water projects. There is no overhead that they pay for out of this pot. $252 million goes right to these organizations in Africa. It's now served 26 countries, 30,000 well or water projects, providing 8,500,000 men and women, boys and girls, people, individuals, human beings with life-giving clean water. My friends, you are in Webcast 21, and I asked you to write this quote down. We're going to pivot from it here in a moment. Our greatest fear should not be a failure, but of succeeding at things in life that really don't matter. Said more positively in a way that we can move forward with some action today. I'd like you to write this one down now, okay? Because this is what you and I are going to be climbing toward. Our greatest goal then should not be to actively strive to succeed. Our greatest goal then should be to actively strive to succeed at things in life that really do matter. So on January 7th, with life unfolding in front of you this year, 2019, baby, here it is. It is upon us. We are going to move forward to ensure that we are actively striving to succeed at the things in life that really, really do matter. Here we go. I'm going to go back to that one more time. I'm going to go full screen just so you guys can see my face and recognize I am fully here with you. Let's see if this works. All right. I'm here. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who have a little journal, I ask you right now to grab your journal. You will need it. In almost every one of our conversations, it's John spending an awful lot of time teaching or sharing inspirational stories, or never before shared stories of my own past, my childhood, experience in hospital, experience in the community, whatever it may be, what I'm reading, what I'm learning, what I'm growing in, research I'm doing, stuff with you, for you, at you. That will be part of today, but the majority of today will be you acting, you moving, you working. I think the most powerful part of this goal exercise that you and I are about to walk through is that it's not about me in the least. And it's not about my time today in the least. Today is actually about you spending 1 hour of your year planning out what success looks like, what it has meant to you in the past, some areas maybe you've tripped along the way, what it's going to mean going forward, what really matters to you, a few roles that you may play, why those roles matter, and ultimately what you are going to do today, this week, and this year to ensure that 2019 is your best year yet. It's going to be a working workshop session. You're going to be tired out by the end of it, okay? And you're going to be fired up, because you're not going to be fired up today with John's life or Scott Harrison's life, but with your life, and that is worthy. Your life matters. Your story is worthy, and the best is yet to come. So let's go, baby. Roll up those sleeves. Here we go. Webcast 21 begins in earnest. Grab your journals. You'll need it. I'd like you to write down 3 expected takeaways from our time together. Okay, so please do write these down right now. You ought to be expecting these from me, but you ought to be expecting them also from yourself. Number 1, I want you to identify what's working and what's not working by glancing back on your last year. So what's working and what's not working for you by glancing back at 2018. Start with that. Too frequently, we just sit down and we start racing forward. Not today. We're going to look backward first. Second goal you ought to be writing down: to get clear on what you really want to accomplish and why. So get clear on what you really want to accomplish this year and why. Thirdly, and finally, to create a specific working plan to guide you forward. Okay? So write it down, please. Create a specific working plan to guide you forward. All right, my friends, we are going to start guiding forward. I'm getting ready right now. Here we go. Have you ever been lost? I want you to answer that question in your heart. If you want to chat it to me, feel free. If your answer is no, you're a liar, I still love you. You are still welcomed in our community. But I ask you to be honest with yourself, not for me today, but for you. It's going to be critical to ensure the foundation is poured to launch into your best year yet. So have you ever been lost? Yes or no? I know I have many, 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 many times. Well, when I'm lost, what I normally do at some point is I humble myself. I walk up to the train station. I walk up to the hotel conference center wall. I walk up to the shopping malls, this example shows. And eventually, I will find a red dot. Okay, let me show it for you. There's a red dot just about in every airport, every substation, every hotel, every shopping mall, every big venue, big red dot. There's an arrow pointing to that red dot. And typically, there are 3 words below the red dot. Anybody know what those 3 words might be? First one to type them into me right now through the chat feature wins. What are the 3 words that are below that red dot, below that arrow on almost every wall that you'll ever find in a large public area? Come on, first one wins. Okay, you are here. You are here. You are here. Lost. But now that you understand where you are, you can also understand where you came into the place. Look at the map, decide where it is that you want to go, and then understand the best steps to take to ensure you get there. So my friend, today, in large letters with a large red ball and the arrow pointing up, you are here. I'm grateful. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? That's what we'll be talking about right now. Your best year yet. This is a book. I'm going to go full screen so you recognize I didn't just steal this image from some Google site. This is a book that I have read, a book that I've gone through just about every year for the last dozen years or so. It's called Your Best Year Yet. It's by an author and now a friend of mine named Jenny Ditzler. It's a phenomenal book. It's worth checking out. But let me tell you something. We'll be walking through the majority of her questions today on this webcast. Jenny has become a friend. This is Jenny right there. This is from a conversation we had last year. She'll also be coming into our Sunday chat feature. On Sundays, I'll be sending you her little messages of encouragement out over the next few weeks. So Jenny's remarkable. She's laid out this blueprint that we can follow. And in following this, I'm going to share a couple things that I've done because of this. But I'm going to ask that you get bold and sharing a couple things that you can do this year. Here are a few things that I've done. Since starting this exercise of trying to drive toward your best year yet, I had the opportunity and the honor of speaking to 3 Girl Scouts. That was my first speech. There they are in all their glory. Well, it's led to a few more presentations since then, including one of my absolute favorites. We spoke to almost 20,000 Arbonne consultants at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. That was an incredible experience. It led to us discerning that in order to touch the audience and elevate them in their lives more profoundly, I got to write a book with my heart on it and next steps for them to take in their own journey. And so comes the book On Fire, which became a #1 national bestseller. I know many of you in the room today have read this, you've seen it, you've shared it, and I'm grateful for that. It led to us realizing, how do we touch these lives even more deeply once they finish the book? Well, how about a podcast? But a podcast not about the guy on the microphone. How about a podcast really about the person on the other side of the microphone, but really about the listeners themselves to ensure that they live into their best year yet? And then we asked ourselves that question again, how can we ensure that we continue to grow, which led birth to the goal of Studio, which you are all now a part of. Thank you for joining this family. But it's not just professional growth, it's impact in the community. When Beth and I asked ourselves the questions asked through this book and that I'll be asking of you today, we realized that we are called to give more, not just dollars, but time. And so we met a little man named Travian, became Big Brothers, Big Sisters, are doing so again this year. Family. Turns out that many of us feel pretty strongly about family, but we also realize there's areas in our family that we're a little bit weak, areas that we can do a little bit of a better job. Focusing on my extended family was a goal 1 year, and it worked. Focusing on my immediate family, my 4 babies, my wife, being laser focused on what it means to be the best dad and best spouse possible to them. And then every year, one of my focuses is always on this beautiful lady seated to my side. My best friend, my partner, her name is Elizabeth Grace. I call her Beth. These are a few of the things that we have done over the last dozen years or so. because we get focused on what the year had been before, where we fell short, where we did well, and what we want to do going forward. So my friends, please write these down. These are 6 areas of life I'd like you to consider advancing in this year, 2019. Here we go. Professionally. I want you to grow professionally. If you're in retirement, awesome. I want you to rock and roll in retirement. Secondly, and don't confuse it with the first one because they're very different. I know people who make a lot of money who are upside down financially. I know people who make very little money who are rocking and rolling financially. So professionally is an area I think we ought to be aware of. Financially, certainly is a place we ought to be aware of where we are and where we want to go. Spiritually, I believe we are spiritual beings having physical experiences. That's it, but we are spiritual creatures. So let's talk about growing spiritually. Emotionally, between the ears, how do we show up? How do we feel about the experiences? And how can we feel about them going forward to live in awe, to be on fire, to be engaged each moment of each day? Physically, if I'm being honest with you today, and I will be repeatedly, this is the area I fall most short in my goals. My health, being very intentional on what I put into my body and how I work out and how I take care of myself. And am I getting enough sleep? But it's one of my goals this year. And then relationally, for me, this is always a big one, both for family and friends. How are we showing up as a friend or as a partner, as a spouse, as a servant, as an aunt, as an uncle, as a niece? And how these areas come together and play as one. So my friends, we take pause right now. And if you have not yet written it down in your little journals, I ask you right now to write it down. But I'm going to share a few of the things that I have already heard from those of you sharing. Maxine shares that you are here, and I just lost the screen of all those comments that you were making earlier. I went to the wrong screen. I might try to get it back here in a moment, but I want you to keep texting those in to me. What are a few of the things that you are most proud to have accomplished over the past 12 months? You have texted those to me. I will find them momentarily, but I'm not going to slow us down right now. We're going to advance the tape one more from question number 1 into question number 2. This one I'm asking that you write down in your journals. What were your biggest disappointments from 2018? You won't have to share this with me, but I'm asking you right now, and I want to make sure you see this screen that I'm looking at. As you look back at 2018 and your family, in your health, in your spiritual journey, in your finances, with things you said or things you should have done, what are a few of your biggest disappointments? Okay, I'll give you 60 seconds or so to write that one down. Don't beat yourself up, but be honest because we're pouring the foundation from which we can leap. This is a working session. I'm going to play music on the next question from one of my favorite songwriters and musicians. His name is Mike Mattingly. But today's not about the music. It's not about my voice. This is about your heart, your clarity of focus and perspective, and what ultimately matters. The best way to get clear on that is to understand where you've been, which frees you to understand where you are and then where you want to go next. So question number 1 was, what fired you up most about what you accomplished last year? A few that I heard from that one. Lisa, welcome to Live Inspired in Studio. Lisa learned a new job. Christy learned to trust herself and survived the wildfires within California. Christy, you have our heart and our thoughts and our prayers. Jonesboro worked with survivors from sexual abuse. Thank you. I'm sure there's a backstory to that as well, but thank you for serving those who have been most abused among us. Jenny started listening to herself about what she wanted to do with her life and started to make those changes. Jenny, welcome to In Studio. We are glad you're listening. We're glad you're here. We're glad you're making changes. We're glad you're inspiring us with your story. Now we have not only things we celebrate, but also things that feel like they pull us down. And if we don't call them out, they will pull us down in 2019, but no longer. We've been freed. We're free indeed. So we turn the page from disappointments and we turn toward, so what have we learned? This is one of my favorite questions, and as we sum up today near the 11:30 Central Time, This will be one of the questions we pull all the way through. So I ask you right now to, for sure, write down an answer. What did you learn? What did you learn? And what advice would you give yourself? So as you look back at 2018, friends, what did you learn about yourself? That you're stronger than you thought? That you try to take on more than you could possibly handle? That you're more loved than you expected? That you're resilient, you're courageous, you're heroic, and you're not perfect, but you're worthy? What are a few of the things that you learned? And what advice would you give yourself this year? So I want you to kind of step away from what you learned and coach yourself up just for a moment. What advice would you give yourself looking forward? Okay, what advice? 30 seconds. All right, make sure as you put a period or an explanation point behind that second piece, what advice would you give yourself? Please circle it right now because we're going to be coming back to that momentarily. Okay, I want to make sure that in your journals it's super easy to find, or underline it if you're typing. What advice would you give yourself? Perfect. Keep it short, keep it simple, just a little bit of advice. Now, question number 4. How do you limit yourself? Here's how we're going to unpack this one. If you are in your journals right now, or if you are on your laptop, either way it's going to work, I'd like you to draw a little circle. We're ultimately going to have 3 circles, so that will kind of help you space this out. But in the middle part of that journal entry, I want you to draw one little circle, okay? Here we go. Who am I at my best? So in the very middle of that circle, I'd like you to answer the question, who are you at your very best? When your heart is on fire, when you are purposeful and intentional and free from anxiety and free from the poles of the world, when you are at your best, who are you? $30. All right. Beyond that one, my friends, I'd like you to draw a second circle. You can shade it in any color you'd like, but the answer to this one is, who am I afraid that I am? So when we go to the dark places of the soul, when we feel beat down by the world, when we give in to anxiety or feelings of limitations, self-doubt, depression, sadness, anger, grief, shame, whatever it might be, who are we afraid that we are? So I am afraid I am not enough, a fraud, broken, damaged goods, a liar, whatever. This is between you and your journal. I'm not going to ask you to share this stuff. I will tell you, though, and I'll tell you again later on, that if you want to live into this stuff, it's best that you find an accountability partner to do it with you. I've found this to be critical in my success, that I don't try to do almost anything at all by myself. I encourage you not to either. So who am I afraid that I am? That's the answer to circle number 2. And here's the third and final circle. So who do I pretend to be? Like we are, the essence is this, but then we are afraid we might be that. So within you and I, all of us, we put on a mask and we try to pretend like we're something that we really aren't. So on our days when we are wearing that mask, or for those of you really familiar with the book On Fire, that red jacket, this fake thing that is not even ours, who do we pretend to be? I pretend to be this. Mr. Perfect. I got it all together, man. always on time, always showered, always dressed, always worked out, always successful, even though deep down we're broken. Or I'm leaning in and I'm doing everything just right, but I'm barely hanging on by a thread. So I pretend to be this, but I'm really not. Okay, so that's the answer we're going for here. One more piece. I'd like you to draw a little wedge, cutting from the outside, cutting through all the bowl, all the way into the middle, and I want you to pull that middle all the way out and make an I am statement. This is the best of who you are. It's not only the best of who you are, I think it is who you are. This is your core. This is the best of your essence. So here we go. I am. Tell me about it. Pull it all the way out from the inside to the outside so that you can wear that mask instead of the fake one. I am enough. I am love. I'm on fire with gratitude. I'm passionate. I am. What's your I am statement? 30 seconds. All right. In fact, write it down, but for those of you who have already put a period on your journals, what I'd like you to do is to send me a chat right now. I am, tell me who you are. Not your name. I'll see that when you chat it in. I love your names. I love you guys. I love your territory, where you're from, all that. But I want to know who you are at your core, at your essence. I am, tell me. I'd like you to send it to me right now through chat. I am enough. I'm grateful. I'm love. I'm faith in action. I am bold. I am woman, hear me roar. Hey, it may not be mine. It might be yours. I want to hear it, though. Send me that chat right now. I am. And we're going to pull out, by the way, a few lucky winners to receive calendars. So the more you chat, the more likely it is that you are going to receive our world famous 2019 Live Inspired calendars. We've sent off a whole bunch of these already. I saw my mom last night for dinner. She came up to me, gave me a big hug. She bought one and said, John, I've just been crying at these calendar quotes. So if you want to get your own calendar quote, the more you participate, the more likely it is that you will receive exactly that. So come on. Let's do it right now with the I am statement. Here we go. I'm going to read a couple of these live and in living color for you right now. I am. Our friend Raylene has participated. Raylene, we'll see you soon. But for now, here we go. Raylene says, I am grateful. John S. John, welcome. John is resilient. Mark from St. Louis, I am happy. Me too, Mark. Kirsten, I am a great mom. Yes, you are. Jenny is light. Till, I am love. Meg, I am God-filled and I am joy-filled. We'll do two more because these are awesome. Caitlin, you are lovable. Yes, you are. And we're glad that you are sharing that love within our community here and in studio. And the final one, I see it showing up right now. I'll let it come in. Here it is, Paulette. I am an expression of confident love. Whoa, Paulette. Awesome. Thank you for that. Let's go, guys. We are halfway through our questions. We're going to finish strong. I'd like you to identify your personal values. So these could be words like, man, for me, I hold up high love or joy or giving, or I'm committed, I'm patient, I'm forgiven, I'm driven. But what are a few of your personal values? What are a few of the values that you hold up high? These are both who you are at your best, but also who you're striving to become more of in the future. Okay, so it doesn't mean you're living these perfectly, but they're values that you respect. You have them, and you want to have even more of them going forward in 2019. So my personal values are, write them down, please. Ten seconds. This is an easy one. This is a layup, baby. Take the 2 points and let's go back and play some defense. My personal values. All right. If you want to chat them in, feel free. I'm sure we all love to see what you are writing down in your journals. But I'm going to turn the page from question number 5 into question number 6, because we still got to land this wobbly plane, and we got about 19 minutes to do it, and I anticipate landing safely and getting ready that you may take off and launch forward after today's podcast or after today's webcast. So question number 6 is, what roles do you play? And before you answer, don't answer yet. One of my favorite stories about roles. I think this gentleman's name was Steve Slater. Steve was a flight attendant for JetBlue who had a very difficult final day at work. He was telling the passengers upon landing in JFK that they were not yet at the gate. They needed to stay in their seats and stay belted in. Unbelievably, a bunch of New York passengers ignored the advice from the flight attendant. They got up, they started grabbing their bags as the plane is still rolling. Steve has been on his feet all day long, all week long, and he's done. He's done. So he grabs the PA, turns the thing on, and starts telling all the passengers on this flight at JFK exactly how he feels about them. He's just telling them all how he feels. And let's just say one of his values is not love. He is lambasting these passengers, going off, dropping 4-letter words and everything else, hangs up the PA, opens up the refrigerator, comes back with 3 Budweisers, opens up the back door of this JetBlue airplane, and then slides down. Okay, that is one way to quit a job. I don't know how many of you are flight attendants. I would imagine maybe 1 or 2. If you're ever going to quit, maybe that's the way you can go out on top as well. That's the way Steve goes down fighting. Makes national news, of course. 3 days later, I see a guy who looks just like him as my flight attendant in Phoenix. So I'm kind of laughing to myself every time I see him walking and really racing past me. Well, he's moving so quickly that finally, about halfway through this flight, I grab him by the arm. I look at this guy and I say, man, you are the busiest guy I've ever seen. Like, he's just racing. And he says to me, you have no idea. So he comes back a moment later and he sets a card on my tray table. This was his descriptor of the roles that he plays. He's an actor, and he's a babysitter, he's a bartender, he's a busboy, and a conservatory, counselor, dietitian, dispatcher, all these words. And if you've flown ever, you recognize this is true. This is what our flight attendants do. I think they have one of the hardest jobs out there, to be honest. They're incredible. So it makes me come back to you in your roles. Those might have been his, but those were only his roles professionally as a flight attendant. Never a stewardess, by the way. Never a steward. But what are the roles that you play? As a mom, write them down, please. As a husband, maybe as a partner, as a single person, as a widow, as a daughter, as an uncle, nurse, teacher. And then I ask that as you make this list, you'll have a total of 21 more seconds. Add one hobby, one gift that you do to take care of yourself. It could be, I'm a walker. I walk every morning. Or I love running marathons. I love art. I love music, passionate about music. I'm a gardener. I'm a football fan. I watched the game last night. Fine. Write it down. 10 seconds. What roles do you play? The longest list wins. Come on. Make sure you write down the important ones. We're going to prioritize here in a moment, but I do want to make sure that the ones that you hold most important to you are at least on this list. So, for instance, for me, I would definitely have father, son, husband, servant, Christian, my worldview, business owner, speaker, these types of jobs. What are yours? Write them down. And here we go. Broadly stated, don't get overly specific on this one, but broadly stated, what are your goals for each of these roles? As a spouse, as a partner, as a child, as an auntie, as a business leader, as a nurse, as a teacher, as a friend, as a daughter, as a nurse, as a marathon runner, as a football fan, as a servant. Broadly stated, what are your goals for each of these roles? Real quick. 20 seconds, please. Some of you are probably feeling the crunch of the time already. The exercise that we are going through together in 1 hour could easily take 6 hours. Easily. We could unpack them together. We could all share back and forth. We could have a roundtable conversation. We could unpack last year in great details. We could do all this. And my encouragement is that you do all this. But today is I want you to get a couple answers to these really important questions on your journal, and then deepen them throughout this month, and then deepen them throughout this year, and then look back at 2019 on 12/31, recognizing that indeed you didn't live your best year yet. So this is a bit of a sprint, and it's unhealthy to sprint a marathon. So we're just going to sprint the first mile today, but I'm gonna jog with you for 25 miles to come after this one. Okay, so here we go. The sprint continues forward. Broadly stated, what are the goals for each of your roles? Now, key piece. Circle 3 roles that will be your focus this year. Look down at that sheet, all those roles, all those broad goals. I'd like you to circle 3 that this year they're going to matter most to you. You're going to put these things at the top of the list. The great lie of society is the belief that we actually can do everything incredibly well. You can't. You'll burn out, you'll flame out, you'll fail utterly. You'll find yourself numb, okay? But we can do a couple things probably better than we even fathomed possible. So this year, knowing that you can't do it all, but you can do a few things really well, I'd like you to circle 3 roles that are going to really matter to you in 2019. If you want to share those with the rest of us on the chat feature, awesome. I won't have you share the goals specifically or why you chose those 3 roles. But I would love to see and hear and have shared, what are the roles that you find most important this year? It's important for a lot of reasons. One, it's a way for you to take public your commitments of what actually matters to you. But secondly, if we start seeing the same roles showing up, we may try to do an entire webcast to support you in growing in that space. Getting over a cold might be one of your roles. Perfect. Circle those 3 roles. If you want to share them, perfect. I'd love to see it. All right. Keep them coming in. Here we go. It's going to get serious now. Question number 9. We're down to just 2 more. I'd like you to look at those 3 roles and then set specific goals in those areas. And ideally, you will leave this webcast and you'll step into the start of January and into 2019 with 9 SMART goals. Okay, so I'd like you to write down 3 SMART goals for each of the roles you chose. And for those of you who are maybe new to SMART goals, perfect. That goal ought to be specific, really narrowed in. I'm going to lose 15 pounds. Time bound means I'm going to say I'm going to lose 15 pounds by December 31st. Realistic, okay? Measurable, tracking the way toward that. Attainable, yes, indeed, we can do this. So specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. That 5th piece is really important in setting a goal. So I'd like you to write down the 3 roles that you've circled and then have 3 goals pointing toward those roles so that you can be as successful as possible in these 3 areas of life. It ought to be total 9 goals that you're writing down right now. So Kristen's going to be writing down goals as a mom, as a friend, and as a CFO for the family. That's awesome. Great job title. You're underpaid for it, but it's a great job title, Kirsten. Diane, wife, mom, entrepreneur. Amy, mom, wife, and child of God. Carrie B, wife, mom, business owner. We're seeing a pattern, I think, starting to form here. Son of Ton. Welcome, son of Ton. Husband, father, protector, great ones. Tilly, significant other, healer, horse rider. Awesome. These are some of the big rules. Now set goals to being the best mom, the best dad, the best example, the best business owner, the best protector. That's a great one. How can you write down a couple specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound goals to ensure that you live into these roles as effectively as you can? I'll give you 30 more seconds to invest time writing down these SMART goals, recognizing we're sprinting and we're out of breath. But we're going to have a game plan by the time the race is won and run today. And we're going to return to it again tomorrow. And then certainly on Sunday when I come back into your life through the video with Jenny Ditzler next to me. And then throughout this month and beyond. Okay, so get ready for it. Write down those goals. I hope you got a few of them. I know some of you are halfway through, others are all the way through, and others are just trying to figure out how to write that first one. That's okay. We're going to help you do it this year. So how do you achieve this plan? It's question number 10. My friends, I ask you right now to pause whatever you're doing and write these down because this is how you're going to achieve it. Okay? It's critical in achieving any level of success in any area you choose to focus on, including achieving 9 goals in 3 areas of life to ensure that you are living into your best year yet. Number 1, get an accountability partner. I have found in my own life that if I try to exercise by myself, I sleep in. If I try to grow spiritually all by myself, I fail. I fall asleep. I start playing Candy Crush or something else instead. If I try to grow business by myself, but with the help of my team, paying attention right now, or my board or mentors, we can do these things. Can't do them by yourself, but together. Accountability partner. That's going to be a big piece for this session and really for this year. Who's yours? I consider myself part of that team, and I'm honored to be so. But I encourage you to ask someone else to join you on this journey. It can be formally through this program, through our in-studio sessions. We'll send you a link to that later on today. So you can invite someone to say, hey, join me, man. This is really cool. Or it could be a little bit more informal. It could be around the dinner table tonight or coffee tomorrow with a friend, and you're guiding her through these questions too. And together this year, you're going to do this thing. That's awesome. Who's your accountability partner? I'd like you to write that down right now. John O'Leary, put that one in. I'm in. And who else? Secondly, put some specifics on your calendar. Part of the reason I come back into your life on Sundays is to keep this content in front of you week after week after week. That's my commitment to you. But what's yours to yourself, to those goals that you put forward? I noticed some of you said mom or dad. Perfect. What does that mean? In doing this exercise with others in the past, including myself, for me, what it means is, for my wife, for instance, 1 date a week. Now, that doesn't mean we're putting on coats and ties and dresses and spending $200 on a meal. It can be tennis shoes, a leash with a dog, and walking up to get coffee, sitting outside, and for 1 hour, talking. That's a date. It's on our calendar. We do it. It's done. With my kids, I try to spend at least 1 hour a month only doing an activity that they like. That may not sound like a lot. It happens incidentally a lot throughout the month. But it's on my calendar to spend 1 hour a month doing anything that they love. Anything. I'm in. Whatever it is, I'm going to be passionate about that at that time. I take each of my kids, it's on my calendar, on one dad's trip a year. Just that child and their dad connecting. It's on my calendar. What's in your calendar? Write it down. Thirdly, daily ritual. Those of you who have been following me for a while, you know I love asking the question, why me, in the morning, and what more can I do in the evening? I've been asking what more can I do in the evening every day of 2019 on social media. If you want to learn about that question, learn about those answers, and participate yourself in that daily ritual, join us on social media. You have links all over the place. I don't need to give them to you right now, but that's part of my daily ritual. What's on your daily ritual? We make time to brush our teeth in the morning. We make time at the end of the day to wash our face. Do we make time at the end of each day to assess how we're doing and what we're going to do to ensure tomorrow's better? Make it part of your daily ritual. And then finally, keep it simple and in front of you. And this is where we're going to leave it here in a moment. Turn the page on your journal. So now you are on a new clean piece of paper. We're going to have 4 little bullets as we wrap up this session, and then I'll take any questions you may have. We may go a little bit long today. Here we go. 4 bullets. Bullet number 1, I'd like you to carry forward the advice that you need to be reminded of. So go back, a couple pages back, to question number 3. It was the advice you gave yourself. You're better than you think. You are worthy. Don't take it so seriously. This too shall pass. These are all bits of advice that I've heard from others who are seated where you are right now. What advice do you need to be reminded of as you sit back and kind of coach yourself forward? What do you want to tell yourself this year? Okay? Write it down, please. Awesome. Secondly, your I am statement. I am love. I am enough. I am worthy. I am more powerful than I thought. What are yours? It's the answer to question number 4. I'd like you to write it as the answer to your second bullet point here. I am an expression of confident love, says Paulette. What's yours? Number 3, focus this year. It's the answer to number 8. There ought to be 3 little roles that you are going to be focused on this year. In fact, I'll read a couple of them so you don't even need to look back. Amy, I'm talking to you right now. You're going to be a mom, a wife, and a child of God. Kirsten, you choose to be a mom, a friend, and the CFO of your family. Diane, you're going to be a wife, a mom, an entrepreneur. Tilly, significant other, healer, horse rider. Carrie B, wife, mom, business owner. Son of Ton, husband, father, protector. There they are. Perfect. Write them down. And then finally, on that piece of paper, ideally it's on one piece of paper, the top 9 goals for the year. Like, if you lived into this, your marriage is in the best place it's ever been in. Your role as a dad or son is in the best place it's ever been in. Your role as a mother or an aunt or a niece or a daughter is in the best place it's ever been in. For those of you who wrote down child of God, if I really was intentional on this and I lived into these 3 goals, boom, I'm on fire in my faith. For those of you who wrote down CFO, or I'm going to be intentional in my savings this year, or in my generosity, my giving, my health, my emotional health, write them down. 9 goals. You've already written down a few. You may need to come back later on and write them down, recrystallize them. This is written down in pencil. Okay, the cement is not yet drying. The idea is that you could even later on watch this in the archive section of our screen, and you could do it again. You can slow it down. You can hit pause. You can listen to some music that inspires you. That's what I did over the weekend. Like, elevate your heart. Perfect. When you're done, this is what your little sheet ought to look like. It's advice that you need to be reminded of. It's your I am statement. It's your focus for the year. And it's the top 9 goals that you aspire and that you commit to achieving. Now, a couple dates that I want to give you right now as we move toward the end of our time together. Date number 1, they're going to come together, but here they are. February 4th. I recognize right now that I'm giving you an awful lot of content during this discussion. So what I wanted to unpack with you on February 4th, and this is just, it's an optional exercise. If you want to join us, come on, I'll be there. I'm going to share with you my answer to those 10 questions. We'll be a little bit more interactive during that session. We'll go through these questions one more time with me sharing what I came up with, what I heard, what I find effective, what I find distracting. So on February 4th, it's going to be a very informal conversation, maybe 20 or 30 minutes tops. If you want to join us to kind of keep this movement going, feel free. February 4th, 10:30 Central. I'll send you an email on that, but we're not going to flood your box because that's not the goal here. If you want to join us, I would love to see you. I think you'll get a lot of value, but it's not mandatory. None of this is. The second piece is this, February 18th. That will be our next session together. will be taking the next step in the journey to ensure that this is your best year yet. Questions. As we hit almost the 60-minute mark, I think we're at 58 minutes live together. There may be a couple questions that you have. If you do indeed have them, awesome. You're not alone. But I ask you right now to please hit on that chat feature, whatever the question you may have, and then hit send. I'd love to see it, read it, and then respond to it. So while you are typing away, I will be talking briefly about what happened on the 1st. That is Thursday. I sent out a text at 8:54 a.m. I sent this to 6 guys. Okay, you can see to whom, but only 6 guys that I like, neighbors with these guys, and I really respect them. I won't tell you all about it, but here at the very end, I'm inviting them in to live in their best year yet this Monday. I'm going to get them a coffee. Come if you can. It's at 7 a.m. These are busy guys. I don't know what the response is going to be. At 8:54, I hit send, and then Bill says, yes, I'm in. Jude, I'm in. Hurley, can't wait. Mark Malloy, yes, in. All this before it even hits 9 o'clock. Within 5 minutes, 4 of the 6 had already said yes. By the end of that night, all 6 guys were in. And by Saturday morning, right down the hall from where I'm recording with you right now, we had 9 men, busy guys, seated with coffees, with journals, with open eyes, relatively. Some guys were wiping their eyes a little bit. Certainly open heart, open minds. I think there's a hunger for people to have clarity on what they're going to do in the year that actually matters. So I want you to feel free to invite your community to join us. Whether that's people you respect, people you're neighbors with, you work with, you worship with, you work out with, you live with, whatever it might be. You can email Shannon at johnolearyinspires.com and learn more about that. She can send you a link so you can pass it on to these people. Hey, join us. It's worthy. Or you can share the invite link that we will send to you later on today, because we want to give you one more opportunity to invite them to live their best year yet with us. My friends, questions as we wrap up. I know some of us are racing now from this meeting into the next one. I will be showing back up into your smartphones, into your life through text, the miracle of text, on Sunday at about 8 o'clock. Jenny Ditzler will be there with me. It's going to be a very cool way to take the next step forward to get clear on your best year yet. That's one piece. Secondly, we are always here to answer your questions. You may email us at studio@johnolearyinspires.com or at info or at Shannon@johnolearyinspires.com. And whatever questions you may have, whatever needs you may have, please reach out to us. I would love to hear from you. And then thirdly, just as a final answer, Amy wrote in, can you match up accountability partners within this studio group? That's an awesome idea. I think we're going to brainstorm that as a team. We want to do this in a way that feels safe and authentic and life-giving for everybody involved. But Amy, in short, the answer to that is yes. Now we got to figure out the best way forward to do exactly that. So if you are interested in being matched, I believe the next best step is for you to email Shannon at johnolearyinspires.com. Email her and say, hey, I'd love to be matched with someone else in this community. Eventually, we're going to find a way that maybe works even more fluidly than this. But for now, email Shannon, SHANNON, she's part of our community, at johnolearyinspires.com. Let her know that you want to be matched up, and we're going to make sure that we come up with a really cool, effective process to ensure not only is this your best year yet, but that you're not doing this by yourself. So think about that. And then, my friends, the very final one is from Paulette, who wrote that beautiful I am statement, and then we're going to leave it there for now. Paulette, can you share a little bit more about how your specific daily ritual works? Absolutely. I have a journal, Paulette, that I have next to my toothbrush. It's where I wash my face and wash my hands. It says on the front of it, live inspired with John O'Leary. It's always weird to read your own name on that, but there it is. I get mine at this office. You get yours from this office. I'm grateful for that. Every morning I begin this ritual with the question, why me? Why me? And for those of you who have heard me speak over the last couple of years, you know that that's a question I frequently will share in presentations. But I don't just share it in a keynote. It's something I actually practice myself. Not why me, like poor me, but why me. Make a list of things I'm grateful for. Today, when I made the list, one of the things I'm grateful for is that we have hundreds and hundreds of people from around the United States and around the world who have decided they want to live their best year yet, who are part of our in-studio community. You are some of them, but there are others who tune in after working hours. So I'm really humbled and energized and grateful for you. But that's one thing I do, Paulette, every morning, even if I'm busy or tired or just not up for it, I write it down. And I find I get energy from that. So that's part of the ritual. In the evening, the most simple exercise that I can share with you that I'm begging you to do. Learn more, by the way, at Facebook. John O'Leary Inspires is available all over the social media, but on Facebook, I do this most frequently. Every night, I ask the question, what more can I do? I used to journal this just by myself, by my bed. Like, what more can I do to make tomorrow better than today? Now I'm trying to get in the habit of journaling earlier in the day so that I can actually share this with our community and then challenge them to share their answers back with us. For me, I found it a very effective way to make sense of today, but also to put energy to ensure that tomorrow is even better than today. In my marriage, as a dad, as a son, as a child of God, in my health, in my finances, with my emotional health, with my physical health, with whatever. So those are two rituals that I take on every day that have been very effective for me. And I think it's going to have a huge impact on you too. They're free. You know what I mean? Like, they're just so much of the best of life is just there for us if we take it. So Paulette and my friends tuning in still, I ask you right now to take it. It's free. Why me in the morning? What more can I do in the evening? And it will help ensure that you are living into your best year yet. Ladies and gentlemen, final quote. This one from our dear friend Francis Chan. Here we go again. Our greatest fear should not be of failure in 2019, but of succeeding at things in life that don't really matter and turning that somewhat negative into a positive. Here we go. This is why you spent an hour and 4 minutes with me this morning. Our greatest goal then in 2019 should be to actively strive to succeed at the things in life that we know really do matter. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for enjoying the Microsoft update with me right here. I want to let you all know that this year we are focused on you. And as powerful as Studio has been in the past, it's going to be even better going forward. We've got dedicated team members pouring themselves into just this. Shannon is down the hall right now working daily to ensure that this is your best year yet. And I'm here to support you in that effort as well. So for this time, and until next time, I am John O'Leary. And this is your day. This is your week. This is your year, my friends. Live inspired, and I'll see you on Sunday. Have a great day.